Hunters, thank you for joining us. I'm Joy.
And I'm Laura.
And this is The Witches of Letters, a supernatural rewatch podcast.
Buckle up for part 5 of our Halloween 2025 Listener Lore bonus episodes.
Every Friday in October in the run-up to Halloween, we are bringing you local lore that has been sent in by our listeners, and also some of our own.
Happy Halloween! This is our last episode in this series of bonus episodes. We really hope you've enjoyed them. Please keep sending in your local lore stories, though, or any haunted or spooky experiences you have, as we want to do another spooky bonus episode for Christmas and at other times in the future. We want to make it a regular thing if we get enough stories. But yeah, so happy Halloween, everyone. And we have a special guest today.
Yeah, so I stole my best friend Carly, and I put her on the podcast because we were having a fun little conversation the other day about how haunted, apparently, I have made everything, apparently. And yet
Yes,
more
that's
ghostly
true.
shit is happening literally right now. So I'm the problem. Carly also has a shit ton of ghostly stuff happening around her all the time. She is one hell of a spiritual medium. She does a lot more too, which we're going to let her tell you guys all about her exciting projects and everything that she's doing at the end of the episode so that you'll remember. It'll be fresh in your minds and you could go immediately to click those links and check her out. But Carly, would you like to say hello to the people?
Hi. Hello. Thanks for having me on. I am delighted to be here and have a little bit of spooky season fun.
That's what we're here
Yay.
for. We're getting everyone in the Halloween spirit. I guess when this comes out, it's going to be very much the Halloween spirit. So you guys hopefully will be really enjoying this. Now I know because we got some write-ins that people really loved Carly's last guest spot, which was our Bloody Mary episode.
Oh, yeah, that
Where
was
again,
fun.
I was the problem. And that was really, really entertaining. If you're a newer listener and you missed that episode and you love this one, I would highly recommend that you go back and listen to the other episode with Carly, because that was also pretty brilliant. And we've had some more recent listeners write in and be like, oh my gosh, this was so fun. I really love this. So I am thinking of a couple of people in particular I know are going to be happy when this episode drops, because they'll be like, yay, Carly.
That was so long ago now as well, because that was Bloody Mary was the 5th
Season
episode.
1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The 5th episode
No.
we ever did.
But that's the cool thing about podcasts, I think, because the people who are like you, who like really like consecutive episodes and episodic listening, always start right from the beginning. So I have people messaging me about things from season 1, and we're in season 4. So we have our foot in all the seasons at the same time, I guess. And it's cool because
Yeah.
you can get feedback from episodes that you hadn't thought about in a minute. And suddenly somebody's like, oh my gosh, Carly's so much fun. And you're like, yes, she is. Here she is again. Ta-da!
Ta-da!
You're welcome, people.
Here
You're welcome.
I am.
So we have some really fun, spooky stories. Now, I know what my story is, and I know what Carly's story is. And I also know what Laura's story is. I feel like I'm the only person who has all of the answers right now. It's like I'm like the dungeon master or something.
You're the secret keeper.
I'm
Yeah,
the
because
secret keeper.
I don't even know what yours is. And I definitely don't know what Carly's is.
Nope.
No, but I'm so excited for her to tell hers. I am also very curious if we get any activity from hers, because I
Ew,
know. No, chill, Laura. It's fine. I know how much she loves this person. So if this person's ghost turned up, I feel like she would be hella excited. And given that we get a lot of activity separately, together, our powers combined, I feel like it's going to be very interesting, although I'm also a little bit scared because I was researching my story late last night and I gave myself the terrors. And then I had weird dreams. And
And you have a ghost behind you, like, right now.
I
Carly said.
constantly have, like, ghostly stuff anyway, but I keep getting, like, Carly keeps seeing stuff behind me. My camera's fuzzy on one side of the camera for literally no reason. I've wiped it 6 times. Like,
Oh, yeah, you disappeared at one point.
I disappeared at one point. I have got a protection candle, which is lit right now, which is me being responsible for the first time in my life. So you're welcome for that. The cat seems relatively unconcerned, so I feel like we're okay. But yeah, I think it's going to be good. So Laura has a cryptid, so we're going to be regaling you with a cryptid. I have a freaky ass piece of Nordic mythology that came to us from a listener who's from North Dakota and suggested Viking Ghost. And I was like, that sounds like fun to me. when I went looking for the specific ghost, I couldn't find that specific ghost story. So I'm suspecting that basically like that's a very localized piece of lore. And so what I did was I was like, okay, well, what kind of ghosts or revenants or whatever do we have in Viking culture? Oh, I'm already getting goosebumps. Um it's fine. And so thank you so much to the listener from Grand Forks in North Dakota for giving me this idea. Basically, I'm going to give you guys a little bit of backstory, and then I'm going to tell you what kind of ghostly, revenant-y, scary thing we're talking about. So, the Vikings were the first Europeans to cross the Atlantic. It predates Columbus, the dickhead, by a lot, okay? By about 500 years. He didn't even know where he was. He thought he was in the Indies. Vikings settled in North America around 1021 AD, and then we have another large influx of Scandinavians to North Dakota, specifically in the 1800s, who, much like their longboat sailing ancestors, were really after the farmland. Now, I know we have a little bit of a global audience, and some of you guys, I think, are a little bit Scandi. I'm going to, full disclosure, I forgot to look up how to say this word, so I'm going to be butchering it for the entirety of the podcast. I apologize in advance, okay? I might pronounce this 3 or 4 different ways, all right? I'm dyslexic. Pray for me, and I'm sorry. Anyway. So the result of all of this immigration is that North Dakota has a large Norwegian and other Scandinavian-rooted set of heritages, right? It actually has the highest percentage of Scandinavian ancestry in the U.S., with approximately 36.1% of the population identifying as Scandinavian. Norwegian Americans make up the largest amount, so we have a lot of Norwegian ancestry in this particular area of America. So it's like, cool. So I'm looking at Norwegian things. I just jump scared myself with a photo that I put in here that I forgot I put in here. So Viking ghosts, I'm going to tell you what I'm doing. So the Viking ghost that we're going to be discussing today is the Draugar. Draugar. In Norse mythology, ghosts known as Draugar were reanimated corpses with superhuman strength that often tormented their communities. These stories are definitely a strong part of Scandinavian lore, according to all of my research. And the photo that scared the shit out of me is Count Orlok from the new Nosferatu. That makeup is amazing because the way that he is in Nosferatu is very much like the lore of this. They're described with similar features, somewhat partially rotting, and with magical abilities, basically. So I'm going to dive into an 1863 description from some Icelandic lore about this creature that I found really spooky. He prefaces this chapter with the following warning on the Draugar. He says, I give this story as a specimen of very remarkable form of Icelandic superstition. It is so horrible that I forewarn all those who have weak nerves to skip it.
Bye. I'll come out.
Laura's like, I'm out. So long, farewell. Avita saying goodbye. Yeah. So the chapter is called The Valley of Shadows, and it opens with a bewildered farmer named Thorhall. It is the 11th century, and Thorhall cannot keep a shepherd to watch over his sheep and his farm in Iceland. You can hear Carly's sheepdog in the background being like, yeah, it's true. The reason is simple. A wight haunts the fields and terrorizes the shepherds. In Norse mythology, a wight is an otherworldly entity that haunts the living world. Thorhall hires a huge, strong man to shepherd his flock. I want you to be thinking the Mountain from Game of Thrones, okay? This man is absolutely enormous. But like most very big men, he liked to eat. And it's Yuletide, and he's supposed to be fasting because it's Yuletide. It's a particular night of Yule, not supposed to eat anything. This man was like, it's cold, it's dark, I'm hungry, so he ate food anyway. Now, this unholy act caused a barrow wight. In this case, you want to be thinking Lord of the Rings when the hobbits get stuck in that graveyard and they're attacked by those things in the burial mounds. Those are wights. So they attacked him and they murdered him. Brutally. Gore is everywhere. The snow is crimson. Horrified, when Thorson discovers the body, he realizes that he can't actually carry the body back for burial by himself. Now, as we all know, people who like the folklore, leaving a murdered corpse outside and not giving it proper burial rites, it's not good. This is not what we want to be happening. So he is like, oh, fuck. And he runs back as fast as he can to try to get some men to help him first thing in the morning, because he's also not stupid and he doesn't want to be murdered himself. So he's out of there. It's dark. There's already a dead body on the ground. We don't need any more of that. So when he comes back in the morning, things get so much worse because the body's not there. So we now know that this man has become the undead. He is now a monster.
Yeah.
The Vikings believed Dragurs were the reanimated corpses of individuals placed in burial mounds. Rather than zombies, these entities were closer to vampires who had strange and unusual powers that separated them from the living. Dragurs are described as being corpse pale, blue as death, and coal black, depending on the saga that they appear in. To translate that, they are describing that deathly white pallor with lividity and rot, how dead bodies have pooling blood that darkens and can look blackened as it rots. They can also have the bluish hue of a drowned or frozen body. Some of these revenants have claw-like hands that they use to tear the flesh of the living. Dragors often give off a morbid stench, not unlike the smell of a decaying body. The mound where Dragur Kar the Old was entombed reeked horribly, and in the Hardar saga, Hordor Grimlinson's 2 underlings actually die before entering Sotol, or the Viking mound, due to the gust and stink wafting out of it when this enraged being filled the barrow with its evil reek.
Yes, they're stinky ghosts. I was gonna ask you if they were like zombies or vampires. So they're vampire, like with
They're
claws.
more like vampires. Yeah. In one account that I found, this creature grows these horrible claw-like fingers and uses it to rip the ears off of the men coming to try to put him down. Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah.
What a very specific body part to target. Like only ears. Does he then, in fact, make a necklace of ears and just,
Probably.
Draugar craft night? Click.
I can't even. Amazing. Okay, so in all cases, joggers swell and grow larger after death, adding to their ghastly appearance. The only sure way to kill a drugger is to decapitate it. So now that the drugger is on this poor farmer's land, he proceeds to kill and kill. He's described in this tale specifically as having glazed over eyes, rotting flesh, and a beard that has continued to grow even in death. On top of all of that, his nose has rotted away.
Ugh.
Yeah, and this is where I'm like, I started imagining Count Orlok at this point, because he's sort of partially rotten. He has the corpse hue. It's really freaky and disgusting. Finally,
It's cool that his beard starts still growing though.
yeah, it adds a layer of it adds that layer of just why, and creepiness. So finally, a hero is found to do battle with the monster, but this is where things get really scary. Because even though he manages to kill the Dragar curses him before he is killed. Because not only are the Dragar terrifying in their demonic, rotting corpse way, but these sons of bitches are also magical. So, they are noted for having numerous magical abilities referred to in Old Norse as Trollskabar, which is shape-shifting, controlling the weather, and seeing into the future. The prefix, which is the Old Norse word troll, initially meant something akin to malevolent, esoteric, supernatural being. Think demons, ghosts, devils, etc. It was by extension specifically also a word for sorcery and the dark arts of said beings. So to return to the story, the Draugr tells the hero that he will experience nothing but bad luck for the rest of his life, and that's exactly what happens. He becomes a haunted man, and the rest of his life never knows any peace as he is hunted from place to place to place. Now, they don't tell you in this translation why it happens, but basically he becomes a fugitive of some kind, and there's never any peace. He spends the rest of his life on the run.
I just have so many questions.
Mhm.
Number one, why are these so smelly? Number 2, why do their beards keep growing? Do their beards also smell? Because rotting ghost flesh paired with somehow growing beard just sounds like a stinky mess. Number 3, how can they curse people? You know? I'm here
Yeah.
for it. I hope if I was ever a Draugar, I would also be able to curse anybody who wronged
Mhm.
me. That they
Yeah.
too would be forced to run as a fugitive for the rest of their life. But wow, that Orlok looking motherfucker. Stinky motherfucker.
Yeah. My theories
Oh.
are that this stench is in relationship to evil. So like if you think about
Oh.
the way that we think of demons, and we'll think like that if something's demonic, there's a bad smell, it's like rotting, it's disgusting, it's a sign that there's evil there. I think the more that you get the stench or the more powerful that is, it's a sign of how powerful the Dragar is. um as far as magical abilities, it's not really made clear whether, because he did something evil on a holy day, if he comes back with demonic superpowers,
Hmm.
basically. Like, the more forbidden the act is when you return, the more unholy you are, if those two things are kind of like in conjunction with each other. It's not totally explained, but it certainly seems to be the implication that the worse you were as a person, the worse your crimes were, the worse of a drugger you become. So, like, this darkness, this disgusting smell, these magical powers are all part of the evil that's connected to the curse of being one of these things.
This is wild. I love it.
Yeah, me too. Now, the beard growing, like hair growing after death, I think we're all kind of fans of Monstrum and like spooky research. So I know that I looked up the whole like vampire mythology of fingernails continuing to grow after death, hair continuing to grow, and that in death, the skin starts to tighten and recede at one point, and so it can appear as though hair has grown, nails have grown when they haven't really. It's just part of the process. And I know that that gets mixed in with vampire lore. I also know that body hair, beards for men, your hair on your head for women, is also associated with magical powers, potency, virility, all of these things. So I think that the beard continuing to grow, kind of like we see female vampires with super long hair, it's supposed to depict to us their level of power, their level of evil or persuasion. And I think it's supposed to maybe allude to virility or sexuality, depending on the kind of monster.
Hmm.
Hmm. I suppose it depends how much it's grown as well. Is it a few millimeters or
Yeah.
like feet?
Is it just everywhere? Because I like my visuals when I was reading about this were very much like I've seen some really gross demon stuff in like horror movies, and I was thinking about that. I was thinking a little bit John Constantine, very much Nosferatu, and also the White Walkers and the what's the name of the White Walker king? He's like a Lich King type thing in Game of Thrones. I can't remember what he's called, but anyway, Night King or whatever he is. That kind of thing is what I was thinking of, especially when they started describing blue being a prominent feature. Um, they can die in different ways. So you can have like sea based ones, ice and snow based ones. Yeah.
Ocean ghosts.
Carly is immediately on board with ocean ghosts.
I am, because did you know that when you die, there's an option that they can just like toss your corpse into the sea? There's a specific way that they go about it. And then your dead body can become a part of the coral reef, which
Yeah.
then means I could just hang out and fucking haunt an ocean in my afterlife. This was going to be my plan, but then I met my partner, Jonathan Dodd, and now we're going to be tree pods together and be a haunted forest
Uh,
instead. I know.
Aw.
Hashtag romance, but I told him that I get to have my ghostly getaways to the ocean whenever I want, because then I can hang out and make friends with sharks and none of them can eat me.
Yeah.
Apparently, I'm also going to hang out with Draugar now, and I'm not really mad about that at this point. Like, they sound terrifying, but in this scenario, I'm already dead, so it's fine. We'll just join forces.
Carly's like, whatever. It's cool. We can hang out. All right. I love it. I like the idea of haunting the ocean because the thing is
yeah,
Carly
me too.
has a deep love, but also a mild terror of sharks. So
Yeah.
she was describing to me her coral reef plan, and it sounded very much like being a ghostly siren chilling in the sea, befriending sharks. And that sounded awesome. So
Yeah.
what I'm hoping is that when you die and you become a tree pod, they could take a tiny little piece of you, a lock of your hair or something, and just throw it in the sea so that you have your
You
little
know,
doorway and you can go and hang out with your shark pals.
at this point, I'm already dead. I'm not using my body anymore. What if we just like severed a limb? Can I
What,
just
like,
have like,
or half and half, half
you
tree,
know?
half ocean
Yeah.
mermaid.
Like, obviously, I have to spend my afterlife with my partner, but what if just like one leg,
I'm
right?
just picturing John carrying around like your upper torso for all of eternity. And your legs are in the ocean with the sharks or something weird.
He signed up for this. This is his fault. Also, I've heard about this creature before. When you said it, I was like, why do I know this name? And you're
Yeah.
talking, I was like, I don't know this story at all, but I know this name. It's because in the Iron Druid Chronicles, which is one of my favorite book series ever,
Ah.
the Norse goddess Hel reanimate some Draugar and they have to fight them. And also was a pretty scary scene because those
Yeah.
bitches just don't die.
They do not. They're already dead. What are you going to do? And I'm going
They're
to tell
already
you.
dead.
I'm going
Yeah.
to tell you because there's a little bit more lore. So I'm going to tell you what you can do. So, to just round it out, guys, basically, the modern version is slightly different and they've added more elements in a way, but it's very much taking from the old. So they can also change form into specific things. And some of this stuff reminded me of like Wendigo folklore, like the more evil you were, the more evil you become in the afterlife. The ability to shapeshift, having dark magical powers, like just things that I've read about Wendigo. So it says they can change into a great flayed bull. Think skinned alive, gore everywhere. And I found some quotes that I think show the origins for this. So it says the Dragurs victims were not limited to trespassers in its home. The roaming undead devastated livestock by running the animals to death, either by riding them or pursuing them in some hideous half flayed form. The oxen which had been used to haul Thorlof's, he was a Draugr, body were ridden to death by demons, and every single beast that came near his grave went raving mad and howled itself until it died.
Aw.
Yep. Thorlof also caused birds to drop dead when they flew over his barrow. Literally terrifying. The next form is a gray horse with a broken back, but its ears are ripped off, as is its tail. Probably reference to this part of a much older version of the terrible acts of a transforming Draugar. It says, on the second night he got up again from his chair and killed the horse and tore it into pieces. Then he took great bites of the horse's flesh with his teeth, the blood streaming down from his mouth all the while he was eating.
Okay, what's with the violence against animals, and also what is with ears being ripped off?
I was going to ask about the ears. This is a very consistent theme.
It is consistent. They want you to listen more. I don't know. They never want you to listen. I don't know. Why ears? I think there's just a serial killer element of scariness to that particular thing, collecting these particular body parts, ears, tails. Yeah. It's also said that there was a cat version of the Drugger. And this reminds me of a sleep paralysis demon. So the description goes that this cat would sit upon a sleeper's chest and just grow heavier and heavier and heavier until their victim slowly suffocated.
That just sounds like a normal
terrifying.
cat.
Laura.
I had a cat who used to sleep over my head all night.
Wow.
And I swear she was trying to kill me.
Wow. Well, on brand, because Druggers apparently have the ability to enter into the dreams of the living. I forgot about that until I had that nightmare last night. Rude.
Ew.
Yeah.
I feel like you're going to haunt me again.
Probably. And they will frequently leave a gift behind so that the living person may be assured of the tangible nature of the visit. But that makes me think, is the gift an ear? Is it just like
That's
a
what I
severed
was going
ear?
to ask. Is the
Same
gift
page.
an ear? Because I don't want that.
No, thank you.
No, nor do I.
Dragurs also can curse a victim, as shown in the saga that I mentioned earlier, where he's cursed to basically never find peace. There's another version where another hero is cursed to never be able to become stronger, so basically curses him with weakness. They could also bring disease to a village and create temporary darkness, even in daylight hours. They preferred to be active during the night, although they did not appear vulnerable to sunlight like some other revenants. Draugr can also kill people with bad luck. A Draugur's presence might be shown by a great light that glowed from the mound like foxfire. So, in terms of like walking past a burial mound, if you see a bright light, fuck right off and do not go near that shit. This fire would be a barrier between the land of the living and that of the dead. So, another power would be to sink into the ground to escape from people trying to kill them. There's a description where a hero is about to behead the Draugr, and the Draugr just sucks back down into his grave. Some Draugrs are immune to weapons, and only a hero has the strength and courage to stand up to such a formidable opponent. In Legends, the hero often wrestled a Draugr back to his grave to defeat them, since weapons would do no good. A good example of this is found in the Gripsonar saga, when knowing that iron could injure the creature, although it would not be sufficient to stop it. There's some accounts that basically say that if you go into the grave and pin them into the grave with iron, you can keep them there. Sometimes the hero must dispose of the body in unconventional ways. The preferred method is to cut off the Draugr's head, burn the body, and dump the ashes into the sea. The emphasis being on making sure that the Draugr is dead and gone.
You have to really commit to corpse. I can't think of the word.
Disposal?
Disposal. Thank you. Corpse disposal. If you're dealing with a Draugr, that's
You
like
really, really do.
that's some Michael Myers level shit. Like
It really
witches
is.
just don't stay dead.
Yeah. Honestly, it really, really is. Like, Michael Myers gives Revenant vibes, hardcore. And if any of you were truly scared, just grab some iron. Because in the original mythology, things that would work the best would be iron nails, iron scissors. They would place iron scissors on the chest of a corpse to make sure that it didn't rise and become Draugr. So it's very similar to the Fae, actually. So you have your things like stainless steel contain a lot of iron. It's actually an iron alloy. So your cutlery, pots, pans, some knife blades, cast irons would be great. So all I could think of was somebody standing with a cast iron skillet. Be like, die already, die! Be like the Evil Dead. So yeah, that is how to defend yourself against a revenant like that.
I feel like I've heard the maybe it's just vampire lore, but the like staking them in with iron nails, whatever you said.
Yeah. They would put the pins into the soles of the feet of the corpse in an effort to make sure that they couldn't stand or walk or get up or move again. And I suppose that was the idea, was injecting the iron into the body so that it couldn't get up again.
Bro, that's like the worst part about this story that I've heard so far.
That's horrible. Having something in your foot. I once
terrible.
Yeah.
I once got a plug stuck in my foot because I was running with bare feet and I stood on a plug like it was my hairdryer or something. That was horrible.
That's not okay. I had an ER visit once for a fishbone that was stuck in my throat, and I was next to a guy who'd stood on a plug. And I was like, wow, I'm going to be so careful with plugs for the rest of my life.
Both of those stories are wildly unfortunate. What do you mean you had a fishbone stuck in your throat?
I was innocently eating a salad with some salmon in it. And it's like they always say on the packages, you know, that they tried their best to remove every single bone, but they can never guarantee that they got all of them. And I spent the whole day in the emergency room back and forth, because if this ever happens to anyone listening to this, salmon bones are made of a particular kind of cartilage and they will not show up on an x-ray. So if they try to send you to x-ray for imaging, tell them no, that is stupid. It will not work. What you actually have to do is you have to go to the ear, nose, and throat doctor, who's going to put a camera through your nasal passages down your throat so that they can see whether or not there's a bone there. That's the only way to do it.
medical horror. That's
Fun
what's
fact.
gotten me the most about this story. Medical horror, as it turns out. Not the zombie corpses who leave severed ears wherever they go, just collecting
Yeah.
and crafting with fucking ears. It's the medical horror. What do you mean? I don't like any of these facts. It's just terrible.
Yeah.
I think the scariest part of the Draugar to me though is the like coming into your dreams and then leaving you a gift so that you
Yeah.
know it's
Yeah.
real. Like fuck
Yeah.
that.
Like,
No,
oh, you
thank
think that was
you.
a dream? Think
Yeah.
again.
That is really horrifying. Because I remember Carly and I had a shared dream before.
Mhm.
And that was scary. That because it was a scary dream. So we were talking about it the next day. And there's a point where it was like, bitch, no way.
Yeah.
That was wild. So like that in and of itself, that's spooky enough. But like if you had actual physical evidence that this creepy ass ability to like curse your life with bad luck until you die demon thing had been in your nightmares, I would just be like, no, thank you. No, thank you. And then I would buy all of the iron and then I would put that
Yeah.
everywhere and I would sleep with it in my fist.
Yeah. My bed is metal, like iron, like wrought iron, and I've never been more grateful for
Nice.
that. You know,
Yeah.
back off. You guys are fucked, and no Draugar can come in here. So
Carly
My bed's
was like,
metal as well.
I am not the slowest. It's literally like the zombie theory. You're running away. She's like, I'm the fastest runner in this situation. My bed is made of iron. You guys are fucked. Never mind. It's not me.
you guys are fucked. Good luck to you.
Well, mine's iron. Mine's metal, but I don't know what metal.
Mine is
I'm just
wooden.
gonna pretend.
I am the
Everything,
weakest
yeah.
link.
Okay.
Goodbye.
Joyce first.
Nice
Man.
knowing you.
You need to get an iron amulet immediately.
Yeah.
Immediately.
Just sleep
I'll
with your
just
knife and
sleep
fork.
with like the cast iron pot under the bed.
That honestly would make a really great horror film or
I was
story,
thinking
though.
that.
Like, that's way scarier than most of the demonic movies that
Yeah.
I regularly watch and consume, because that's how I like to spend my free time. The whole like dreaming and then finding physical things, because then you add in psychological horror. Am I going crazy? But there's this
Yeah.
thing here
Yeah.
proving I'm not crazy. Yeah.
Yeah,
Get
it's
into it.
terrifying.
Hollywood, make this happen.
Yeah, it would be like Nosferatu, but more. Because he has the magical powers. He has the terrifying physicality thing, but if he was more directly violent, and also if we saw more of like the inflicting of nightmares, more of a stealing of health, more of destroying the village, because he does the plague with rats, and they don't specify how the Draugr destroy the villages with like disease and stuff, but rats could be a good bet. So that whole creepy Pied Piper thing that we saw in Nosferatu, and that movie is one of the scariest movies that I've seen in a long time. So I'm thinking like Nosferatu, but like amped up, and you have the Drugger, and that is fuck off forever with that. That's so scary. That would make an amazing horror film. Carly is absolutely right.
Mm. Yeah, I agree with Carly about that being the scariest part as well, the dreams. And then the smell is probably the second scariest.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
being
yeah.
able to kill you with the stench of death is pretty hardcore.
That is pretty hardcore. At first, when you said that, I kind of like internally laughed because
you were like, stinky.
No, because my kids and I were just reminiscing, because the other day we're driving in the car and sometimes it just smells like sulfur, just like random patches of the road.
Right.
And that particular smell is what comes out of me if I eat gluten. So there's a very, very specific reason why I no longer eat gluten. And very specifically, before my periods would start, it was like for a week, just like rotten egg death stench leaving my body.
Yeah.
And now I'm listening to this and I'm semi-convinced that I might be part Drogar, just based on the scent alone. So I'm doing the entire world a favor by no longer consuming gluten. You're all welcome.
This is true. We don't need those demonic smells in our world, Carly.
No, I
don't
am
do
the
it.
demon.
Yeah. For once, I'm not the problem. Haha. Heard it here first. Carly, do you want to regale the people with your tales of horror?
I would enjoy regaling the people with tales of horror. I happen to have a long history of just being haunted as fuck. Okay.
True.
And I didn't even know for a long time. I didn't even know. I just knew that if I was alone in a room, I would feel like somebody was watching me from behind. So I would do strange things like position myself in a corner or, with my back to a wall so I can see things at all times and then nobody can sneak up on me. Most of my life, I thought that this came from watching horror movies too young because I absolutely watched the original Halloween in elementary school. Okay. Who was watching me?
No.
I used to go to my best friend's house and we'd watch scary movies together. I saw the Shining miniseries at her house. So, Bathtub
Uh,
Lady, Michael Myers, this
yeah.
is my origin story. I always thought that that's what was happening until I broke my foot and accidentally learned that I can talk to ghosts, right? Right. Fast forward a few years. I had a lot of investigations under my belt with the team I was working with, multiple different teams, really just thriving, Ghost Edition.
Mhm.
And then I moved here, and all of the activity just sort of started dwindling down. And I went, huh, that's odd. I wonder why. The answer is trauma. I just took myself offline. I went, no, thank you. I have enough going on over here. You can keep your dead people things away from me, right?
Keep your dead people things.
Yeah, keep your dead people things away from me. I have enough going on. I can't be your therapist and my therapist at the same time. This shit's exhausting. Okay. So, in the last year or so, I have started to do really strange things in my sleep. Okay. I have
True
had
story.
nightmares for a long time, but I started doing odd things. You know, like, waking up screaming once and my daughter says that one time I punched the wall in my sleep, and I was like, "You mean I like made a fist and punched the wall?" She goes, "I don't know. You're just flailing around in there." So, what am I doing in my sleep? I really don't know. Okay, but it has become more and more commonplace to wake up in the morning, go about my day, and for one of my children to tell me about some bizarre thing I was doing in the night, right? And the most recent one, I had a night where all of the sudden I came back online, Mediumship Edition. Okay. And I was
Yeah.
like, whoa, this is startling. I'm not used to this anymore. And I'm like snuggled up in bed. And I was like, you motherfuckers, why is it always night? Get out of here. I'm not interested. I'm not doing this anymore. Go find someone else. Right. That was kind of the vibe. So a couple days later, my daughter, I wake up and she goes, how'd you sleep? And I said, fine. And she said, did you know that you've been turning your flashlight on at night? And I went, sorry, what?
I wish you
So
guys could see Laura's face right now. She just shuddered and withdrew into herself in absolute horror. Sorry, Carly, please continue.
I I had noticed that when I was waking up in the morning, my phone, the charger port on my phone doesn't work, so I have like a little like magnetic charger that I always
Mhm.
put it on. And I kept waking up and my phone wasn't on the charger. And I was like, I must just be like falling asleep before I can put it on. I don't really know what's happening, whatever. Until she says this. And I realize I have more than likely been woken up in my sleep investigating. I don't even know how that's not sleepwalking because I technically was still in my bed, but apparently I've been turning on my flashlight to look for ghosts in my sleep. Okay?
Oh.
Now I'm sleeping with twinkle lights on because then
I
I can
bet.
see and the ghosts can't get me. So there, motherfuckers.
Oh, I was gonna say, what are you trying to see?
I that's the
Laura is not okay, guys.
that's the thing, and I have not investigated this. I haven't pulled any cards about it. I've just been like, you know what? I'm trying really hard to get my life together right now.
Mhm.
Ghosts, you can wait your turn. I'm still alive. One
I'm
thing at a
so-
time. But last night, now keep in mind, yesterday I wrote an article about what a trigger feels like. And I made the comparison that when you're triggered, it's a lot like being possessed by a demon because you're no longer yourself. You're this highly traumatized version of you that's all of a sudden piloting your meat suit, right? And
That's a very good article. Let me just
thank you.
quickly interject. You guys should definitely go read that. I read it and it was amazing. Carry on, Carly.
I'm very proud of it. And naturally, I spent the rest of my day watching exorcism movies because
Of
why
course you did.
wouldn't I do that? Yeah, naturally. I watched The Nun. I finished watching The Nun 2, which oddly almost made me cry. This is how we know I'm traumatized.
Mm.
And then I started on Insidious. Hot take. I hate Patrick Wilson's character in Insidious. I would throat punch that man so fast and not even feel bad. How is he the worst person in that movie? Consistently, in the fifth one, he's still fucking terrible. He did not learn his lesson ever.
No.
Okay?
Never ever.
That's what I fell asleep watching.
As you
Insidious.
do.
As I do, just full of rage about that
What a
fuck ass man.
dickhead.
Yeah. And I started having this dream. And in the dream, I'm like running through a like what you would think of as like a typical haunted house, right? Like everything's
Mm.
dusty, there's like cobwebs, it's dark and creaky. And, you know, if you know anything about me, it's that I just don't run. I don't run ever. So if I'm running, you should absolutely be running too. And I'm just I'm jogging. Okay. I am running through this haunted house and there's something that is chasing me. It's like on all fours, crawling after me. And I think I was lucid enough to be like, fuck, 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 fuck. I don't like this. Then I turn around. Somehow I have a flashlight now. Turn on the flashlight. And it's Danny DeVito.
I hope it was Danny DeVito and every time you were investigating with your flashlight.
It's
Just
Danny
you and
DeVito.
Danny DeVito in a haunted house.
It's Danny DeVito. And
No offense, Danny DeVito.
I don't know. Like, I don't know if I was like lucid dreaming to the point where I was like, demons be gone, replace it with something else. But like,
Yeah.
of
It's
all
Danny
the
DeVito.
things to see, but it was like Danny DeVito was crawling like the demonic creature, just
Ew,
like on all
I
fours.
like that.
Danny DeVito.
Oh, man.
Ew, that's still scary.
Ugh.
Although before you said Danny DeVito, it was like really scary. I don't like
Yeah.
anything crawling or like on all fours. That was horrible.
Yeah.
And also, you had a flashlight in your dream, and then you had one in real life. No,
I had a
Yeah.
don't like
flashlight
that
in
either.
my dream. I didn't turn on my flashlight in real life, but apparently at some point I'm going to have to look into this and figure out why. Like what exactly am I searching for? I don't know. I don't know. Yeah. So that has been my real life
Mm.
haunting. And at some point, I will return to my work in the paranormal. But you know what? Right now, that's a door that's going to remain closed, even if the ghost won't leave me alone.
Like, I'm
uh,
haunted, but am I waking up in the middle of the night moving a flashlight around the room haunted?
yeah,
Maybe.
you know,
Maybe not.
it's a really beautiful intersection of haunted with just a little hint of crazy, you know?
A little bit.
Ugh.
This is
I'm just picturing you in the room with the white padded walls with a flashlight, rocking back and forth, chanting Danny DeVito.
Danny
Danny
DeVito.
DeVito.
Danny
No,
DeVito.
Daddy, no.
Say his name 3 times and he will appear.
Yeah. You don't have to worry about Bloody Mary. You have to worry about Danny DeVito on all fours
Running after you.
Ugh. But then what if it's, I think you touched upon this earlier, but what if it's just putting on a face of something that would make you feel like it's funny or silly instead of scary, just because it's trying to make you not as scared?
I think it must have been something like that. I really don't know, but when I woke up, I was just like, what the fuck? I think I texted Joy. It was like 3:30.
Yeah.
Fucking Danny DeVito in my nightmare, saving me from demons, or he was the demon. Unclear at this point. You know, if I was a demon, I would pretend to be Danny DeVito, probably.
Yeah.
I do have a short little story, though, that Joy found for me. I'm very, very pleased about this. If there's anything to know about me that I don't regularly discuss on the internet, aside from like a random story post, it is that I have a deep, undying obsession with the Tudors, and Boleyn specifically.
Yep.
It started because I read Philippa Gregory's book, The Other Boleyn Girl. I can no longer read it because it's too inaccurate and it pisses me the fuck off now. But I love the TV show, which is also not accurate. So I don't know what to tell you about that logic.
Swings and roundabouts.
Swings and roundabouts. So when I was talking to Joy yesterday, I was like, I'm not going to lie, I had a little bit of a trigger. And I can't remember what story I was going to tell. And she was like, it's cool. I got you. So Joy sent me this and I rewrote it a tiny bit. It is The Ghost of Anne Boleyn, the most well-traveled spirit in Britain. They say some souls can't rest. Not because they're lost, but because too much of them remains scattered across the earth. Anne Boleyn is one of those souls. Queen, lover, mother, traitor, witch. Whatever history has called her, she has never really left the places that made and unmade her. Her ghost, it seems, has become a traveler. She's seen most often at the Tower of London, where she was executed on a warm May morning in 1536. Some say she walks the tower grounds still, a pale figure gliding across the courtyard, her feet never touching the earth. Sometimes she's radiant and alive, dark eyes full of wit and laughter the way she once was, while other times she's seen carrying her head beneath her arm, a tragic echo of the violence that ended her life. One of the earliest recorded sightings dates back to 1864. A guard on duty saw a white figure drifting toward him through the mist. A woman, unmistakably regal, though her form shimmered like smoke. Believing her to be an intruder, he charged her with his bayonet. You know, as I said that, what a reaction. You see like a regal-looking woman and your response is to stab her.
I know. Hashtag patriarchy.
Hashtag patriarchy. The blade passed clean through, and he fainted dead away. When questioned later, a general stepped forward to defend him, claiming he too had seen her that night. The tower, they say, keeps its secrets, but some of them still walk after dark. Anne's presence isn't confined to the tower. Her spirit is said to wander across the English countryside, to Blickling Hall in Norfolk, Hever Castle in Kent, Marwell Hall in Hampshire, and even Sally Church, where some whisper she was buried in secret. At Marwell Hall, where Henry VIII and Jane Seymour planned their wedding while Anne awaited her execution, her specter strolls along Yew Tree Walk, the path her husband once paced with the woman who replaced her. It's a haunting image, the betrayed queen revisiting the scene of her undoing. But it's at Hever Castle, her childhood home, where the stories take on a softer glow. Locals say she returns there every Christmas, her favorite time of year, appearing by the old oak tree where she and Henry once courted, or gliding silently across the bridge over Eden Lake. Sometimes she's seen in castle windows, other times running down the corridors, clutching her severed head. A chilling reminder that even love stories can end in ruin. And then there's the legend of the headless carriage. Each year, on the anniversary of her execution, a spectral coach pulled by 4 headless horses is said to thunder up the drive at Blickling Hall. Inside sits Anne Boleyn herself, calm, poised, and headless. She steps down from the carriage, clutching her head in her hands, and roams the corridors until dawn. No matter where she appears, the question lingers. How can one woman haunt so many places at once? Maybe it's because Anne's story wasn't confined to one tragedy. Her life was splintered between places, castles, and courts, between devotion and betrayal, love and death. Perhaps each place still hums with a fragment of her, the energy of a woman who refused to fade quietly into history. In the end, Anne Boleyn's ghost is less a specter of horror than of remembrance. She walks not just as a warning, but as a testament to power, passion, and to the price of both. And maybe, if you stand beneath the winter sky at Hever Castle or walk the tower courtyard in the mist, you'll feel her there too. Not frightening, but familiar. A woman still searching for peace, and perhaps for justice. The end.
Bravo. Very well
Yeah.
read.
I love the Anne Boleyn stuff because I live near Blickling Hall.
Yeah, you
And
do.
she was supposed to have grown up there, although there's no official records of that, but she was supposed to have like been born there, and there's ghosts of like her family as well. And
That is so cool.
and some people have said that her headless ghost is seen like actually dripping with blood as well, which is horrible.
It is horrible. I love that
Yeah.
though. If I was
Yeah.
Anne Boleyn, I would
cool.
haunt the shit out of everybody.
Me too.
Yeah.
I love it. I love the imagery of it. I love the storytelling of it. I think the headless horses and her carrying her head. I just imagine her, when I imagine Anne carrying her head, I imagine it very regally. Like she's carrying her head the way that some women will carry a very fancy clutch, you know? And just be like, look at what you did. I don't care. I'm still beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm going to make everybody sorry. I'm going to haunt the shit out of you, and I'm going to do it so well.
Yeah. I love that she's just haunting all of England.
Just everywhere. She's like, I am the queen now, bitch.
Here I am. You might be able to destroy all of my portraits and most remembrances of me, and yet I remain. And that's pretty fucking badass, if I do say so.
I love a defiant woman. You know,
Yeah,
I love a defiant woman. And I think that if we can take away anything from all of the hauntings of Anne Boleyn, it is that. I feel like whenever I hear stories about her ghost, I don't think, oh, this poor tragic figure. Although I do feel the tragedy of what happened to her. Mostly when I hear the stories of her ghost haunting different places, I think, what a defiant, cool, witty, just badass ghost. What an amazing queen. Literally, what a queen. And I just feel like I love ghosts like that. I love hearing ghost stories about women who, in some way, shape, or form, were too much and were cut down and did not let death stop them.
Yep. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. It's awesome. It's awesome.
It's my favorite flavor of ghost. Defiant women.
Yeah, especially one that had to put up with Henry VIII.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I mean, he basically stalked her until she was like, all right, I guess this guy's not going away. Like, how do you say no to a king at that point?
Yeah.
You really, really cannot.
And then
No,
just
you
kills her
can't.
when he's had enough. Or like, oh, you can't have a male heir or, whatever.
Yep.
Yeah.
I want to marry someone else, so I'm going to have you beheaded.
I want to marry someone else, but you've displeased me with your opinions, Anne.
Yeah.
How dare you have
You dare to have an
thoughts?
opinion.
How
dare
dare
you?
you have an opinion? And it's actually stunning and incredible to me because England would not exist as it does today without Anne Boleyn, because if Henry VIII hadn't been so fucking desperate to divorce Catherine of Aragon and marry Anne Boleyn, England would have stayed Catholic. And
Yeah.
the Church of England was literally formed so that he could divorce Catherine of Aragon and marry Anne Boleyn. And everybody was so mad about it at the time that there was reports that said she had like extra fingernails or physical deformities, and like people were not kind to her because she was a loud, outspoken woman.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. History wasn't kind to her, so I'm glad that her ghost is still showing up and refusing to sit down.
Yeah.
Same.
Same.
That was the perfect ghost story.
Thank you
that
for
was really
finding
cool.
it for me.
You're very welcome. So, in the show notes for this episode, the original storytellers, obviously it was adapted for the episode, but the original bones of the article came from a group of people who specialize in creating haunted experiences and breaks and getaways in the UK. Now, in the UK,
Cool.
unlike the US, we don't have a lot of these kind of like fully fledged, really well thought out atmospheric experiences. So, because it was a fantastic article and we used it, I'm going to make sure that we link them in the show notes. And if you guys are visiting the UK or if you live in the UK like Laura and I do, you should definitely check them out and think about booking a haunted getaway of your own.
I want to do a haunted getaway.
I know. We should go.
Yeah. Okay. Put it on the road trip.
I will. I looked at it. It looks amazing. Not gonna lie, I'm so serious right now. We should do that. And then they'll be like, "Oh, your podcast?" And we'll be like, "Yeah." And they'll be like, "Okay, well, you can stay in these places for free. Just talk about us a lot." That's my pipe dream, honestly. And we'll just go and stay in all these haunted
They
locations.
could be our first sponsor.
Yeah, they could be our first sponsor. But yeah, it would be epic. Laura, do you want to tell us all about the cryptid that you've chosen?
Yeah, although I feel like I should have done a ghost story now because you two did ghost stories, so I've just got a cryptid.
Well,
But
I mean, mine was technically like a vampire zombie ghost.
Yeah,
That's true.
that's what I say. Well, it's my favourite cryptid. Carly, do you know what cryptid under me?
I don't.
I think you like him too. I'm going to just show you my plushie.
Yay! Mothman! Mothman is my favorite
Same.
cryptid.
He's my favourite. Justice for Mothman.
Justice for Mothman.
I have the Build-A-Bear Mothman, and he has the T-shirt that says "The Man, the Moth, the Legend" on it.
It's so cute.
It's so
I love
awesome.
him. And
You're
he's
gonna
in
have
bed
to
with
drop
me.
a photo of him in the show notes so that our listeners can see him.
And he has bat wings for some reason, but
It's so cute.
It's spooky
It's so
and awesome.
cute.
We allow his little bat wings.
So yeah, my story today is about my favourite cryptid, Mothman. And I was excited when I saw a listener had added Mothman as their local lore on our Instagram post. And I was like, mine. I think Joy actually sent me a screenshot. And I was like, mine. I'm doing
She
it.
was like, immediately, I'm taking this. Anytime somebody sends in like clowns or haunted dolls, I'm like, that's mine. And I snatch it up. Laura saw Mothman and was like, that's mine.
Yeah. Now, obviously, this is a huge legend, and I can't really do it justice in the time that I have. So this will be like a little mini dive, not a deep dive. But I have got sightings, I've got explanations, and then I go on a bit of a tangent about UFOs, and then I go on a bit of a tangent about the bridge.
Wait, what? This sounds great. I'm excited.
Okay. No, just scroll back up on my notes. So overview first. So Mothman is a cryptid who was reportedly seen in the Point Pleasant area of West Virginia from the 15th of November 1966 to the 15th of December 1967. So like a 13-month span was when all the main sightings were. And the
Ooh.
first newspaper report was published in the Point Pleasant Register dated 16th of November 1966, entitled "Couples See Man-Sized Bird Creature Something."
A bird, a plane, something.
Yeah. And yeah, interestingly, all the first accounts anyway describe him as a bird-like creature, even though he's called Mothman. And he has been described as 7 feet tall, with a wingspan of 10 feet, and can fly great distances and as fast as 100 miles an hour. And his most distinctive feature is glowing red eyes. People believe he was an omen predicting the horrific disaster of the Silver Bridge collapse on December 15th, 1967, in which 46 people lost their lives. And there's more on that later. I'm going to kind of end with that, actually, because it links to what I believe with the whole cryptid thing. So, sightings. So there's quite a few. So I found this account of the first sighting. It was in an academic article from Sheffield Hallam University, of all places, and it was written by David Clark, and it's called The Mothman of West Virginia, a case study in legendary storytelling. And this is what it says. In November 1966, a syndicated dispatch from West Virginia reported that police were investigating reports of a mysterious bird-like monster 5 miles north of the city of Point Pleasant. The story was published across North America, and a version appeared on page 1 of Pacific Stars and Stripes, read by American troops in Vietnam. It described how 2 young married couples saw the creature as they cruised around the 35-acre McClintic Wildlife Management Area near midnight on November 15th. The 4 teenagers were driving near a wartime munitions dump known locally as the TNT area, where a tall greyish figure appeared near the entrance to an abandoned power station. They said it was shaped like a man but bigger, but its most striking features were a pair of glowing red eyes and big wings folded against its back. The wings unfolded and it took off vertically. Understandably terrified, they turned their car around and sped towards Route 62. As they drove towards the city limits, the creature appeared again and followed them at uncanny speed. The 4 witnesses, Roger and Linda Scarberry and Stephen Mary Millett, stopped at the Mason County Sheriff's Office and reported their experience to Deputy Millard Halstead. The officer returned to the TNT area with the teenagers, but nothing unusual was found. The next morning, the Sheriff's Office called a press conference that resulted in mass media coverage. Most of the newspaper stories referred to the unidentified creature as bird-like, but one headline read, "Bird, Plane or Batman? Mason Countyans hunt Mothman." And the Mothman moniker was a direct reference to the live-action TV series Batman, based on the DC comic book superhero, showing on the ABC network. The label stuck, and by December, Mothman was used by most of the media reports of further sightings. And then there's many other sightings which I'm going to talk about, but any initial thoughts?
It's weird that I've heard all of this before, except for the part that it went out on dispatches to people in Vietnam. Like, imagine you're in Vietnam and you're fighting this war, and these dispatches come through, and you're reading this apparently for entertainment story of this creature turning up and terrorizing these teens.
It's wild. The part that always gets me is that, like, how did we get from bat to moth? Because early descriptions do make it sound much more bat-like, and obviously there's Batman. That would be confusing for everyone, but who landed on moth?
Moth.
That's my question.
Yeah.
I did read somewhere, so it was linked to Batman, and it was another character. Was there another character that was like a moth? I don't know. I didn't read the...
All I can think of is Mothra. But Mothra's a good guy. And that's also Godzilla. Not Batman.
Yeah.
But in terms of like early Batman, I can't think of anything off the top of my head. But it's curious. It's like, do you think they thought they were going to get like copyright strikes from DC? And they just went, oh, we can't call him Batman.
Yeah,
we'll get sued.
I mean, my Build-A-Bear thing does have bat wings, like I said.
It does.
So, yeah. The bit that I always think makes it seem realistic and not all the explanations they give later is how it takes off vertically, like a helicopter. Like, things don't do that.
Yeah.
And it goes really, really quick.
Yeah. According to this super fast Google that I just did, the closest thing is the supervillain Killer Moth. So Killer Moth is apparently a frequent, though often overlooked villain, and also a Batgirl adversary. And the original killer moth, in terms of his appearance, is Drury Walker, a small-time criminal who creates a persona as the anti-Batman, offering his services to other criminals to protect them from the police. He equipped himself with a mothmobile and a cocoon gun, and even created a moth signal.
Moth signal.
Yeah.
Was that on the TV series?
It.
Because it might be if it is.
I'm just going to try and see if it specifies.
I feel like it
I'll
might
go
just be
down
one
a
of those
little
things where they
further.
literally just came up with a name because, like you said, they didn't want to call it Batman.
Yeah.
Okay, what's like a bat? Oh, moth. That'll do.
It looks like there's appearances in the 70s. I'm trying to find if I can see one in the 60s. Let's just see if they have anything. Okay. So according to Wikipedia, Killer Moth first appeared in Batman in February in 1951. He was created by Bill Finger, Dick Sprang. I'm sorry, Dick Sprang. And Lewis Sayre Schwartz. Oh my god. In his original incarnation, Killer Moth has no superhuman abilities but relies on the vast array of equipment he had developed, including a mothmobile, zipline cables, cocoon gun, and air pistol. Okay. All right. Yeah, and the physical look of this character is basically he has like a moth's head mask with antennae and this big cape that looks a little bit like moth wings as he's running. So I assume they're thinking a big tall man with wings, and they were like, it's Mothman. Because yeah, DC probably would have sued the shit out of them if they were like Batman. So now we know why. Please tell me more, Laura.
So there's more sightings. So the next one is a group of grave diggers that were hard at work in Clendenin, West Virginia, said they saw something massive fly over them as they worked, darting from tree to tree. They described the entity as a huge brown-winged human being and said they were scared. And a couple of sources I read actually state this as the first sighting because it took place 3 days before the Scarborough Millette sighting.
Oh.
Although most of the other sources I found state that the other one was the first one, and that's like the start date of all the sightings. So I don't know. And then I was listening to Astonishing Legends. They covered Mothman like back in 2016 or something, and they said it could have been one of those things that was made up afterwards to try and say, oh, we were the first, this was the first one actually.
Yeah.
So we don't actually know if that one's real or not. And they said it wasn't mentioned in either of the main books about it, including John Keel's Mothman Prophecies. So we don't know if that one was real or made up. The Gettysburg Times reported 8 additional sightings 3 days after the first report. They include 2 volunteer firefighters who said they saw a huge bird with glowing red eyes. There was an 18-year-old, Connie Carpenter. She allegedly saw Mothman in broad daylight on November 27th, 1966, on her way home from church. She was driving home and saw a huge grey figure and slowed down to see what it was. She described it as over 7 feet tall and having glowing red eyes. She said it was looking at her and she felt a hypnotic effect and almost went into a trance. Then she saw it unfold huge wings and fly towards her car. She floored it and drove away. Sounds quite scary.
Yeah.
There was a witness in Salem, West Virginia, who reported seeing strange patterns on his television and then hearing mysterious noises outside his home. And as he shined a flashlight towards the direction of the noise, he witnessed 2 red eyes glowing like bicycle reflectors back at him. And this guy was a hunter, and he said he knew what animals' eye shine looks like in the dark, and it wasn't it. And he also
was one of the more convincing ones for me personally.
Yeah.
And because his dog goes missing, so he his dog went out with him. He's called Bandit, and he thinks Mothman like took Bandit away because he went missing. So he'd gone out, the dog had run off like barking, and he had a really bad feeling, so didn't go after the dog, and then the dog just never came back.
Poor Bandit.
Yeah.
Such a cute name as well.
It is a cute name. What a cute dog. That one, it gives it more credence for me personally, and also I don't want to jump and like talk about something that you haven't mentioned yet, but the Sandhill Crane type like version of the story as like an explanation. The reason why it doesn't sit well with me is because I grew up in an area of Florida with lots of cranes. They are fucking everywhere. Carly's not along because Carly's also lived in Florida. And I don't understand how even with
man-sized.
they're not
No.
man-sized. They're not that big. And like people can gauge how big something is. Even if you're scared and you exaggerate size a little bit, you're not going to look at a crane and be like, it was like 10 feet tall. It was 7 feet tall. It was the size of a man. That doesn't, it's not realistic. And then there's also when the dog goes missing and this seemingly quite reliable witness, like down to earth witness, is like, yeah, I know what it should look like. And that was not it. And then my dog went missing. That for me has always poked some holes in the skeptical scientific crane explanation. It was just never that watertight either because again, I've seen cranes and you don't usually see them being active at night. They're daytime birds. They're big, but they're not that big. Like they're literally just
They're
not that big.
Man-sized birds.
They're not huge by any stretch of the imagination. So it just never. I always thought that was such a dumb theory.
That's the main theory as well, and it's stupid. But
it is so stupid.
But we can shit on that theory later in a minute. I've just got a few more sightings first. So there were reports of Mothman supposedly attacking the roofs of parked cars inhabited by teenagers in lovers' lanes. There was a 17-year-old boy who said a huge bird dove at his car during the day of November 17th and followed him for nearly a mile. 5 teenagers who were out for a drive by a rock quarry saw a man-sized bird-like creature, and they said it turned and ran into the woods once it noticed them. And there's another one with the dog. An elderly businessman heard his dog going crazy outside, and when he went outside, he came face to face with a 7-foot-tall grey apparition with flaming eyes.
Ooh.
And he said he went into some sort of trance and lost time. This is kind of this comes up quite a lot, like coming into a trance. Apparently he was so scared and shocked that when he went back inside, his wife thought he was having a heart attack. And then, this is when I said, according to Astonishing Legends, other witnesses also reported going into trances.
Yeah. I think I remember hearing a few other people describing physical symptoms as well, like the heart racing and the confusion and stuff like that, because there were a few of the witnesses who like were stoned, I think, at one point. And so people were like, oh, we're going to dismiss you. But then there were more and more sober, like stone cold sober witnesses of varying characters, I believe, from my memory of this. And I'm so sure that there were more people saying that they had the sense of confusion and the racing heart.
Yeah. There's this is this the last one? I think this is the last one. This one's probably the scariest one, and this includes a trance as well, because most of them, it's kind of just watching, not attacking people. But so there's Marcella Bennett. She was heading to the TNT area with her brother and her 3-year-old daughter in the car to visit some relatives that lived there. And as they got out of the car, her brother saw lights or something unusual in the sky, and she was walking towards the house with like her daughter in her arms, and saw a man-like figure in her periphery and went into a trance and fell down. And she was carrying her daughter, so she like landed on her.
Oh no.
And she said she could sense what was happening and knew she had to move off her daughter, but she couldn't, almost like a sleep paralysis kind of feeling. And she managed to break out of it and get inside with her brother and daughter, but it didn't go away. The creature, the figure, it moved towards the house, went up onto the porch and peeked through a window. Don't like that.
Nope. No.
And they called the authorities, but it had disappeared by the time they got there. And according to Astonishing Legends, though, they say there was over 100 witnesses in total. And I'm unsure if that was during the 13-month like time span or like up until now. Yeah. But there's been lots. So we'll get into explanations then. So the main explanation are sandhill cranes or herons. Now, I haven't seen a sandhill crane, but there's loads of herons around here, and they're not very big.
They're not very big.
You wouldn't
Sandhill cranes are not that much bigger, honestly.
Yeah.
No.
Like they just have like
there's
longer
a 7-foot
legs,
man over there.
Yeah. You're not going to be like, it's a giant man bird. or a
Yeah.
Mothman.
And they have skinny legs.
Yeah.
That's my point every time.
Yeah.
Those skinny ass legs. Everybody's
Like little
seen the
pencils.
Mothman statue. Do you think
Yeah.
they could hoist that shiny hiney? No.
Yeah, because he's always reported as having like big muscular man legs.
Yeah.
Not
honestly,
skinny crane legs.
All the descriptions made me think, when I heard the descriptions, but like not what any of the theories or stuff, if you had left me folklorically to figure out what this was, it sounds like an angel. Like big muscular man, creepy glowing fire eyes, appears near disasters, has a weird effect on human beings. Like it just reminds me of accounts of Middle Eastern or Middle Eastern adjacent folklore. And it makes me think of like angels and jinn and stuff like that. But no one ever brings that up. No one ever says that. No one, I don't think I've ever even read someone say fallen angel, because like with the big spooky wings, like originally bat wings and then fucking red flaming eyes and stuff, the sense of dread and terror, and then all of the doom and whatnot, where it's theoretically linked to disasters. Yeah, I don't know. It's just, that's where my mind always went. It's spooky.
That's actually a really good theory, though. I haven't heard that
you.
one either, but as you're saying it, I'm like, oh yeah, that makes a lot more sense, because Mothman's supposed to be the harbinger of doom, because
Yeah.
he appeared up until the bridge collapsed and then he disappears.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that theory. I accept this.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
So people that say it's the sandhill crane. So basically, wildlife biologist Dr. Robert L. Smith at West Virginia University, he told reporters at the time that descriptions of the sightings all fit the sandhill crane. No, they don't. A large American crane, almost as tall as a man.
Nope.
No, it's not. How
With
is
a
it almost as tall as me? I'm going to look up how tall it
I
is,
could
because it's got to be
literally
like, what,
punch
4
one.
foot,
Like,
5
No,
foot?
no.
They're pretty big. I mean,
Apparently it has a 7-foot wingspan featuring
Okay, but that's
circles.
wingspan. Which I can understand. We're talking about a large wingspan. And so wingspan, sure. I hear you. But heights? Heights, sir?
No. And it has circles of reddish colouring around the eyes, which is what he explained was like whatever. And it's also, he also admitted that it's not native to this region. So I don't agree with this, because the reddish colouring around the eyes, if you actually look, it's not the same as glowing in the dark.
Yeah, that's
red
definitely
eyes.
not the same.
So
and
that's
as a
stupid.
biologist, I feel like that should be a point that we take into consideration for science, you know?
Yeah. But also, like, it's not native to the area, which he admitted.
Yeah.
And people aren't stupid. People know what birds look like.
Yeah.
Yep.
People can be like a man or a bird.
Yeah. And like some of the sightings were in broad daylight. They're going to be like, oh, there's a crane or a heron, not a Mothman.
not a
Yeah.
Mothman, right?
But yeah. And then there was people that started, like took this theory and ran with it and were saying, well, maybe it's deformed, or maybe it's something to do with it being near the munitions factory.
Oh yeah.
And like toxic chemicals and stuff. It's like, what, making a monster crane?
Okay,
No.
so I've looked it up. Just FYI, guys. And we were right. The tallest crane species in all of the U.S. is only 5 foot tall.
Yeah.
So the height on this thing standing up maxes out at 5 foot tall. You're going to tell me that that's the same size as a scary, huge, tall man?
As
Because
a
this is
Everyone's
like,
been saying
monster?
it's like 7 feet.
yeah. So 5 feet is not that much. It's really not. Like, that's so much shorter than me, and I'm pretty short. This is a petite bird. It's big for a bird. It's bird for a big. Haha. It's big for a bird, but it is not like, you're not gonna look at that and be like human size, scary, terrifying man size. Like, it's not the medieval times. We're not that short anymore. No, rejected.
Yeah. So in my opinion, that one's debunked.
Debunked, yeah.
Then there's people think that it's certain owls. Again, no owls are that size.
No.
So some people are saying it's a barred owl or an albino owl, or perhaps a large snowy owl.
They're even smaller. Like,
I know. They're tiny.
We went from 5 foot to like 3 or 4 foot.
I know. And they're suggesting that Mothman's glowing eyes were actually red eye effect caused from the reflection of light from flashlights. No, that hunter guy said that's not a thing.
That's not what that does.
Right?
No. Rabbits, if it was a rabbit, sure, rabbits have red eye reflection, but no, not. This is
They'd
so
also be
silly.
tiny and in the grass and not.
Yeah, and like
standing.
hopping
Exactly.
around, and not a giant 10-foot muscular man with its naked butt on display in Virginia.
No.
I've touched it.
I'm so.
I really want to
happy for
go
you.
to the museum and see the thing.
It's really
the
cool.
Yeah,
I went
statue.
to the bunkers too. It was
Yeah.
Nice.
It was.
I really
really
want to go there.
neat. It
We
was
should
really
add
neat.
it to the road trip.
Yeah.
Carly should come with us.
I'm in. I'm game.
Yeah. So there's a few more explanations, and then there's like just kind of silly ones, and then there's two main ones. So then I've got a bit of a tangent.
Okay.
So some people think it's just pranks or hoax. So this theory suggests that when stories were becoming big in the media, because there was such a media like frenzy around it, a number of hoaxes followed. One such hoax was when a group of construction workers tied red flashlights to helium balloons. And another was linked to a prankster who went so far as to hide in the abandoned World War II munitions plant where some of the sightings occurred. So there were some hoaxes going on.
I
Amazing.
low-key love that because recently, with all the rapture noise that was going all around the internet, that people were about to be raptured, I saw people saying that we should take full advantage of this moment and get human-sized helium balloons and just like
put them
release
up
them
to make people think that they weren't in part of the rapture. The rapture had already happened and they were just left behind with the rest of the sinners.
Yep.
Oh.
Yeah, that shit cracked me up. I loved it.
Another similar theory is just that it's panic. Like people were, after all the sightings and the pranks and things, residents were just panicked and convinced they were seeing Mothman everywhere. So it might have just been animals and birds and things.
Yeah.
There was one source that said it could be misidentified planes that take off vertically and look like men. Apparently.
How the fuck?
I agree with you. How the fuck? No, I reject this one heartily.
That's so dumb.
Adamantly.
Yeah. All of the sightings, apart from the last two, all of the sightings are just silly. There's this one I'd never actually heard before. I can't remember where it was from, but one source, everything I used is in the notes anyway. One source I read noted that the Mothman's physical appearance resembles several types of demons encountered during bouts of sleep paralysis. And so maybe these visions are nothing more than that. So like a trick of the mind, and just everyone was scared. People were having
during
sleep
the
paralysis
day while operating heavy machinery.
Mm-hmm.
Outside on the way home from church, awake.
Yeah.
Carrying your baby into your house. Yeah, okay. Like don't get me wrong, I love a good skeptic. I do. I love a good skeptic. I married Nick. You know what I'm saying? Like I like to debunk things because it means the things that I can't debunk have more flair. They have more flavor.
Yeah, that's
Laura
what I'm
and
like too.
I have definitely had multiple times where we could have said something spooky happened, but we debunked it instead. So we don't ever amp anything up for entertainment. We don't ever fake anything. Like if you hear something from us, then we actively tried and then we couldn't debunk it. So like make your explanations make sense is what I'm saying. Like if you're going to be skeptical, do it right. Don't be like, it was a plane. People are like, I saw a 10-foot man with wings and glowing red eyes. Oh, it was a plane. You were mistaken. Were they on acid, bro? Like, what drugs were they supposed to be dropping at the time? Like, come on. Be sensible.
That's hilarious. Well, I think if you look at other cryptids, there's always like more realistic explanations. Like if you're in the woods and you think you've seen Bigfoot, I don't know, is it maybe a bear?
Yeah.
There are explanations for most of the other cryptids that make sense to me. And I'm like, oh yeah, okay. You know, even some of like the deer that are like diseased and things like that. I'm like, okay, you know, maybe not a Wendigo. Maybe you just are a sickly creature. I can accept all of those. I cannot accept any of these theories about Mothman except Joy's, really.
Thank you. I mean, like, if I was going to cook up, if I was going to be like, I'm going to be skeptical about this, I'm going to cook up a logical explanation. We know that there are military things in this area. And we also know that the United States government is not always very responsible about cleaning up their messes. So if it was me, I would be like, let me look at the water table. Let me see if there's some kind of contamination. Is there a reason why people are tripping balls and they're tripping the same balls? Because people are seeing the same thing. Do you know what I'm saying? And that can happen upon occasion. Like, people do really buy the explanation for some of the things that happened in Salem, that it was ergot poisoning combined with hysteria and what was happening in the moment. And that is possible in pockets for, a small amount of some kind of contaminant to get into a village, a small-ish area, and affect people. And if you're hearing the stories, then when you do trip, you're much more likely to trip about the thing that you've heard the story about because it's already in your subconscious, right? So, like, if you guys are going to be skeptical, please do it right. Make it make sense. Don't be telling me that a man is a plane.
Or a sandhill crane.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
Or
that's silly.
a small bird. Like, guys, you're not even trying. Okay? You're not even trying at this point. I'm sad for you.
The only way it could be an owl or something is if it was actually the size of my teddy that I have.
Honestly, yeah. And see, I don't even think that would debunk a small amount of the sightings when there are so many sightings and the description is so completely different from that. But maybe there would be a couple or something like that. Like, I can accept a few, every once in a while, a misidentification of something. People are excited. They're hyped up because of this thing. But certainly a lot of the original ones and the more well-documented ones, like, absolutely not. It doesn't make sense. You're
I'm
not
sure some of the
explaining it
100
away.
some of the 100 probably were like animals, whatever, but yeah, not these main ones that I've mentioned.
Mhm.
But another popular theory, which is my like second theory that I believe, not the top one, but the second in line, is
Okay.
aliens.
I knew you were going to say that. Carly's so excited. Her excited little nod. That's so cute.
So UFO or alien activity. Lots of people, including ufologists, paranormal authors, and cryptozoologists, believe Mothman to be an alien. By the way, if I knew a cryptozoologist was a thing when I was a kid, totally would have
You would
wanted
have
to
done
do
that degree.
So author John Keel, who wrote the Mothman Prophecies in 1975, claimed that the Point Pleasant residents experienced premonitions of the collapse of the Silver Bridge before it happened, saw unidentified flying objects around the same time, and following the collapse, residents had visits from the Men in Black, got a tangent about that later, who threatened them, as well as other phenomena. So Keel's story took hold, and the town soon became iconic among conspiracy theories, ufologists, and fans of the paranormal. Now, this is also a tangent. I go on a few tangents in the UFO section.
Okay.
There is also links to another, I'm not going to call him a cryptid, an alien. Kylie's probably heard of him. Have you heard of Ingrid Cold?
Yep.
No.
Oh,
So-
you're going to love this.
I could do a whole episode on him, but because I find it fascinating. So he's also known as the Grinning Man or the Smiling Man. It's a male humanoid extraterrestrial who Woodrow Derenberger, a sewing machine salesman from Mineral Wells, West Virginia, which is, I looked it up on Google, 55 miles northeast of Point Pleasant,
Okay.
had an encounter with in early November 1966. So it's a little bit before the Mothman sightings,
Okay.
but it's in very
Close
proximity.
Yeah.
So he was on his way back from Marietta, Ohio. Derenberger told press at a conference the day after his encounter that on the night of November 2nd, shortly before 7:30 p.m., he was driving home along Interstate 77 when he saw an unidentified flying object resembling an old kerosene lamp globe having a flat bottom and a dome-like top, which blocked the road ahead of him and forced him to stop. According to Derenberger, a man he described as 6 feet tall with an olive complexion, dark brown hair, and wearing a glossy, dark blue coat emerged from the object, walked up to his vehicle, and spoke to him telepathically. According to Derenberger, he had a smile on his face. He appeared very courteous and friendly. He said the man identified himself as Cold and told him, "Be not frightened and have no fear. We come from a country that is not nearly as powerful as yours. We mean you no harm." According to Derenberger, Cold promised to contact him again and suggested he contact local authorities. In the story, Cold communicated with him for about 10 minutes, after which Cold returned to the object, which rose into the sky and left. Now, on the Astonishing Legends episode, they had some of his actual recording from when he did his press conference, and he's like, he wasn't scared of this person. He was like nice, but also he later in later years he reports actually going with Cold to his home planet, and there's loads of other stuff that he says with him.
Okay.
And there was another sighting of him, of like, or someone similar to Ingrid Cold in the same area by other people, like the same day or the next day or something as well, which I didn't actually write down. But there was 2 sightings of him. So this also sparked a media frenzy because he did a press conference. And following the interview, other people then claimed to have encountered a man of a similar description. Local newspapers ran stories for the next 3 weeks. So basically, this initial sighting was just before the start of Mothman sightings around the same area. John Keel made links between Ingrid Cold, UFOs and Mothman in his book. And I'm not going to go into loads of detail about it, but there are a couple of extra links in my show notes about him if you want to look more into that and why it's linked. But yeah, so people think they're linked. Also, the thing I find the most interesting about the UFO or the alien theory is the Men in Black stuff. So I get really scared when I hear about Men in Black stories. They seem so creepy.
Yeah.
And again, I could do another deep dive on this, but I wanted to find some information about the ones that link to Mothman specifically. So these do all seem to link back to John Keel again as well. So, and some people don't think that some people think he made up a load of stuff. There was another author, I can't remember who it was, around the same time who also wrote a book, and he definitely made up stuff and did like those hoaxes himself, but I don't think John Keel did. So yeah, so it depends on whether you find him a credible source or not. Right, so during the time of the Mothman sightings and after, unknown people reported to frequent the small town of Point Pleasant, West Virginia, usually dressed from head to toe in black suits, white shirts, black ties, and black shoes, which all appeared to be perfect in appearance, but completely out of style for the time. They're said to have asked people questions about Mothman and told them not to speak about it. They were also said to have threatened Mothman witnesses and reporter Mary Heyer, who reported on the Mothman sightings and also about the Silver Bridge collapse as well. So fandom.com had the following encounters from Mothman witnesses. So a friend of Mary Heyer, named Dottie Campbell, she spoke on the subject of the Men in Black in interviews, and she said that she and Mary were very frightened by them and that Heyer had mentioned to her that these strange men never blinked their eyes. So there was some that had gone to speak to her specifically, the reporter. And yeah, they don't blink their eyes. Linda Scarberry, who one of the original witnesses, she said in an interview, the Men in Black wore black suits, black hats and sunglasses. They drove black cars, Cadillacs, I think. They looked like human beings, but their skin was somewhat transparent. You could see the veins in their hands very clearly. Their fingers were longer than a normal person's fingers as well. And she said her dad shook hands with them and he said they were awkward with shaking hands and they seemed not to know what to do or how to shake hands. So that's like one of the things, they're really awkward, like they're like pretending to be humans. That's because there's one theory that they're aliens themselves, isn't it?
Right.
Interesting.
I love the detail that they don't know how to shake hands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That feels like Men in Black the movie, but
Yeah.
translated into real life. Like,
Yeah.
what's piloting that?
They don't know how to
piloting
people.
that meat suit.
That was
Yeah.
funny.
She also said that one of the cars would follow us around. There were 3 men in the car. The Men in Black went as far as to follow us through the drive-through of a restaurant. We were afraid to turn around and just looked in the mirror at them. So that was still Linda Scarberry. And then a man and a woman carrying a camera visited Mothman witnesses Steve and Mary Millette, wanting to take a picture of them. And then the Millettes took down the license plate of the Volkswagen, but the police said the number was non-existent. So they were followed as well. And then John Keel also had loads of experiences with the Men in Black, or so he says anyway, asking questions about his movements. And he said that they tried to persuade witnesses not to talk about their unusual experiences. So they're just really creepy. And that the fact that the Men in Black turned up after and were talking to all the witnesses is like, it helps the theory of the UFOs and alienness going on.
I mean, the story that would concoct in my brain would be that some fuckboy took out something that he wasn't supposed to, went somewhere he wasn't supposed to, and was like, "Hey guys, what's going on? I'm Chad. Do you want to go for a ride and see my home planet?" And then afterwards, the responsible ones are like, "Fuck's sake. Oh my God, Gary. We've been following this guy around all week. Why? Why is this our life right now? Ugh. Why do these people constantly want to touch each other with their hands? It's so weird." Like, that's all I can think of.
So I feel like that's a strong theory. But the last theory, which is more the one I believe, is that he's just a harbinger of doom. And these theories paint Mothman as either a harbinger of doom or more sinisterly its cause, which I don't believe the cause part, but I'll say my bit at the end. A legend that has its roots in the tragedy that befell Point Pleasant shortly after Mothman arrived. So this is talking about the Silver Bridge collapse, which I'll do a brief description of in a minute. But the strongest evidence, in my opinion, is that there were no more sightings straight after that happened. That's the main thing. So just a little background for Silver Bridge collapse. So on December 15th, 1967, just over a year after the first Mothman sighting, so it's exactly 13 months it was actually, the traffic was
Spooky
bad on the
number.
Silver Bridge, originally built in 1928 to connect Point Pleasant, West Virginia to Gallipolis, Ohio. The bridge was packed with cars. This placed a strain on the bridge, which had been built in a time when cars were much lighter. The bridge's engineers hadn't been particularly imaginative, nor had they been especially cautious while creating the structure, and the bridge's design featured very little redundancy, meaning that if one part failed, there was almost nothing in place to prevent other parts from failing as well. And that's what happened. Without warning, a single eye bar near the top of the bridge on the Ohio side cracked, the chain snapped, and the bridge, its careful equilibrium disturbed, fell to pieces, plunging cars and pedestrians into the icy water of the Ohio River below. And 46 people died, either by drowning or by being crushed in the wreckage. Following the Mothman sightings, the bridge collapse was the second terrible and bizarre thing to put Point Pleasant on the map in a year's time, so it didn't take long for people to connect the two. And the bridge collapse made many locals who didn't believe in Mothman or take the sightings seriously before this reconsider or change their minds.
That's another thing that always got to me, because the wave of thought very much sort of changed, didn't it?
Yeah. So people that kind of thought it was just a bit funny and people were just doing pranks and stuff, they were like, actually.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, there was no more out of the initial wave of sightings anyway. After that happened, that was it. It just disappeared, which I think makes it really strong evidence. There have been a few more sightings in more recent years. I saw a report of a sighting in 2007 and another one in 2016, where a man who just moved to Point Pleasant spotted a mysterious creature jumping from tree to tree. He claimed to local reporters that he was unsure of the local legend of the Mothman beforehand. I don't know if I believe that though. So there were multiple sightings for a whole year before, and then nothing after the bridge collapsed. So yeah, and then so my theory, and then you can give me your theories. I think he's real, but I think he was trying to warn people of the bridge collapse, not that he was the cause. Because if he was the cause, I don't think he would have hung around for a whole year before doing it. And I've just got at the end, #justice for Mothman.
I love that. Mothman is my favorite cryptid too, so
Yeah, me too.
I take Fox Mulder's stance on this, that I want to believe. I don't
Yeah.
care if Mothman is real or not. I love these stories.
Yeah.
I think it's really interesting. I don't really have a well-defined theory of what he is, but I do believe some sort of supernatural entity, because there was a few years ago there were sightings in Chicago too. I can't remember what it was, but let me just Google Mothman Chicago. Yeah, it says there was numerous reports of a winged humanoid creature with glowing red eyes first appearing in Chicago around 2011. Sightings had been reported across the city, often near green spaces or water, and described as similar to the original Mothman legend from West Virginia. While some suggest these could be misidentifications of large birds, again, bullshit,
No.
others believe it's a continuation of the Mothman phenomenon, and the sightings have been a topic of local news and popular online discussion.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I remembered specifically that there was more stuff afterwards in other locations, and um, I think that it has been a very slow burn, which makes me take it more seriously because, like, if you look at the urban legends situation of something that we know is not true, or it was one true story from fucking years and years and years ago, and the way that those things spread, it seems to be very different. Like the licked hand, we examined that in an episode where I talked about how that story originated and then spread in the US. And this is so slow growing that it doesn't just really have the same kind of like hysterical excitement attached to it that a lot of urban legends do, which is what gives them the traction to jump from state to state. This one, there's been like what, one actual Hollywood movie, I think, maybe a few little indie flicks, um, a bunch of documentaries, some paranormal investigators. But what I'm saying is, it doesn't have the same level of like hype as a lot of other things, and yet it's still sort of going, but very, very slowly, very undramatically, almost under the radar. And that for me feels much more realistic and would make me more inclined to believe in that it was something supernatural. Because there's no real big links between these two places. It's just this one being, whatever you guys, might believe it to be. For me, it really reminds me of some old stories of um different supernatural spirits that would come to warn people about bad things happening. And so I'm kind of with Laura. I think that it's some kind of omen creature. And I don't think that it's necessarily causing these things, but these descriptions also remind me of stuff like in the Bible when angels appear, when they're going to people to warn them something bad's about to happen. There would be this absolute sense of dread, or like something would come over you. And awe, the way that we think of the word awe, or terrific now, terrific was more linked to terrified, awe was linked to like absolute terror at one point in its usage. So we tend to misinterpret certain old stories surrounding beings like angels or jinn. Um, and I think that this really reminds me of that kind of thing. It really, really does. And I assume that maybe it operated as a little bit of a death omen, unfortunately, very sadly, for that dog Bandit, too. I don't think that it killed Bandit. I think Bandit went out spooked and maybe ran into something and couldn't get himself out of it, or something to that effect. That's my explanation for that. So, like, I really think that it is something like that.
Yeah.
I like that theory too. And one of the things that people say about Mothman, the hypnotic trance type thing, but also that they were filled with pure terror by looking at him. And
Mhm.
that kind of energy definitely has angel jinn vibe going around
Yeah.
it.
Because we've got to
Yeah.
remember that angels exist outside of the Bible, and they exist in lore and mythology and magic and folk beliefs, practices, and folklore prior to Abrahamic sort of faiths taking over and writing the stories. And I'm not going to claim to be an expert because I'm not, but I am a nerd and I've done a lot of reading. And that is where my head goes. So I don't know, it's really fascinating. It's really cool. I love like creatures as omens, things like banshees, um, being an omen of death. I think things like that are really, really interesting. Things like the washer at the ford, the gray ladies who were washing battle clothes, and then you find out that it's your battle clothes because you didn't make it out. Um, these death omens are really, really interesting to me. They've always kind of fascinated me, and this just has that vibe to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you think, Laura? Do you think it's an alien?
Well, I kind of want to think it's that, but I suppose I could combine the two theories. It's an alien who was warning people. Yeah, I'll go over that. But it's really difficult to write notes on because one, I had to just cut it down into like, however long this has been, like 40 minutes or something. And all the podcasts that I've seen cover it have done like multiple parts over like hours and hours and hours because there's so many tangents and it's not like linear. Like you can't really just, this is the beginning of the story, this is the end of the story. So that's why I just kind of
Yeah.
mushed it all together.
Yeah. Well, I think you did a good job. I feel like it worked. Listeners, let us know in the Spotify comments, especially, what was your favorite story?
Is there a moth emoji?
I don't know. There's a butterfly emoji.
That'll do.
I guess if it's Anne Boleyn, I feel like it should be a skull.
A crown or something. Oh, or a
Or
skull,
a crown.
yeah.
That makes sense. If it is the Dragur, give me the vampire or the zombie emoji. Either is totally acceptable. And Laura, it's got to be like the moth or the butterfly thing for Mothman. Maybe a candle. So yeah, definitely let us know what your favorite story was. Let us know in the comments what you thought the scariest part was, because it's really interesting hearing different people's takes. And sometimes it is not what we thought. Like occasionally we'll do an episode and we'll be like, oh, that part. And then somebody will write in and be like, actually, this part was really horrible, or this part freaked me the hell out. And we're like, oh yeah. So let us know. We love to hear from you. So much. I had so much fun. Carly, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
This was an absolute blast. Do you want to tell people a little bit about yourself and where they can find your services and projects and things?
I am a hypnotherapist. So if you would like to experience a non-terrifying trance, I'm a hypnotherapist. I specialize in trauma recovery, and I'm certified to specialize in PTSD and anxiety. So if you are heavily traumatized and looking for a therapeutic experience that's a little bit different than talk therapy, we sit, we chat. I usually pull cards with my clients, and then you go into hypnosis, which is really relaxing. It feels like, oh, my light just turned off. It feels like you're taking a nap, but you're awake the whole time. So it's very interesting. And you can find me on Instagram at carly.latham or on my website, www.spellboundhealing.com.
Yep. Also, she writes these incredible articles about trauma and trauma recovery. That is on Medium, and I think you're somewhere else as well, aren't you?
It's on, you can find all of those on Medium and also on my Substack.
Yeah, Substack.
Yeah. So if you subscribe to my Substack, you'll get my emails right in your inbox. And I will be launching a little bit more of a community vibe over there with extra workbook pages and group group hypnosis and things like that. So yeah, Substack is the place
Amazing.
if you like any of my work on Instagram or on Medium. Substack is where we go a little bit deeper.
I think that's also a really great place for, like, if you're like me and you're scared of new experiences and you want to get a taste of Carly's amazing hypnotic skills, you can play one of her short little hypnosis things. She tells you what it's all about, and you can go into hypnosis in the safety of your own home and see if you like it. And if you love it, which I feel like probably a lot of people will, then they can contact her and they can get a more full package. But I feel like that's such a great way to slide your little pinky toe in the water, and
test it out.
test it out. Yeah.
The article Joy was referencing earlier, I wrote about being triggered. I included a short hypnosis on there. And lots of people are afraid of hypnosis. I was afraid of hypnosis before I became a hypnotherapist. I had no idea. I thought it was just stage hypnosis or false memories like in UFO stories or true crime. So I had a very wrong understanding of what hypnotherapy actually is. So in the first session with me, we go over all of that pretty in detail so that before you even go into hypnosis, you understand what's going to happen, how it works, why it works, and then we kind of move you into it. And since I specialize in trauma, I always tell people, you stay in control the entire time. But I tell my clients that you don't even have to close your eyes if you don't want to. You can just let your gaze soft focus. So I really set it up to try to make sure it's within everybody's comfort level, because the last thing I want is to re-traumatize you, which won't
Yeah.
happen, by the way.
No, she's doing the opposite of that.
Right.
And you know, Carly has a very soothing voice and presence. I can attest to that. You guys
Thank
got
you
a little
very
taste
much.
of that when she was reading her story. She did an amazing job. So, we'll make sure that we pop some links for Carly's stuff in our show notes. Be sure to check out her section so that you can just go straight to her pages and look at anything that caught your interest during this little Carly session. Um, yeah, thank you so much again for joining us. This was our last bonus episode until we pick up new bonus episodes in our next installment whenever we do that. As Laura always says, if you have a story and you want to send it to us, the email is literally always open. You're going to hear it again at the outro. It's in every outro. Just write it down. Throw anything in our inbox that you want to, and we'll collect it and save it for the next ones.
Yeah. And hope you all have a nice Halloween.
Happy hauntings.
Thanks for tuning in. If you like this episode, please rate, review, and subscribe. We would be very grateful. And if you know someone who would enjoy it, please share.
You can find us on Instagram at the Witches of Letters podcast, or you can email us at thewitchesofletters@gmail.com.
Until next time, stay safe out there, have each other's backs, and always keep fighting.